Hey guys, good morning. It's Sunday, October 10th. I just came back from the October holiday in China, and today I thought I'd film a really casual vlog, just take you guys through my day and answer some of the questions you guys asked me over on Instagram about living in China. Why don't you come along and spend this day with me? So, if you're new here, my name is Evelyn. I moved to Beijing since the beginning of this year. I am from Shenyang, China, but for the past 8 years, I've been studying and then working as a tech consultant in Chicago. In 2020, I sort of moved back to China unexpectedly. So I'm not like a foreigner here, but I don't feel completely like a local either because I've spent so many years away and I'm still experiencing a lot of reverse culture shock. More on that later. Today I kind of have a full schedule. Right now I'm going to take some photos for Instagram, and then I'm going to bake some cookies to test out a new recipe for my cookie company, do some administrative things, and then go hang out at my favorite bar in Beijing. And while doing all of that, I will be answering your questions. So let's get going. It's like proper fall weather now in Beijing, which is super exciting because fall is my favorite season, but it's also kind of sad because that means winter is coming and the leaves are gonna fall, and that's when Beijing is just like really depressing place to be. So I'm heading to the Gulu area to take Instagram photos, which makes it seem like that's my job. And some of you guys did ask me, what type of work do I do? What's the work-life balance like? Well, I am not an influencer yet. I work as a project manager for a big tech company in Beijing, and my job is to help my team based in the US and Europe communicate with product managers and engineers in China to make sure the terms we sign in music copyright contracts are timely and accurately carried out through technology system. Because it's a tech company in China, the work-life balance like isn't great. If you've looked into working in China and like the job market in China, you might have heard working in China is like really intense. People work long hours. Unfortunately, that's true. The 996, which means you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 days a week, is also for the most part true, which is really sad. But I am lucky in that my particular job is slightly different because my team is based in different time zones. A lot of times I would have to take calls like really early in the morning or really late into the night. Because of that, I do get the flexibility of working from home when I want, and that gives me the freedom to make YouTube videos and share my life with you guys, which is something that I find really meaningful and hope to turn into an actual career one day. I think that might be a good spot for Instagram. Quite a few of you guys have asked me how I edit YouTube videos. I learned how to edit myself from like free resources online. I'm planning on making that into a whole video very soon. Stay tuned for that. Now I think I'll show you like how I take Instagram photos. I take Instagram photos with a selfie camera on my phone. First, I try to get over my fear of taking photos. Then I found a spot and prop up the camera with a nearby object. Sometimes my bag, sometimes it involves a bike, depending on the angle. Then I get yelled at a couple times by grumpy drivers. Oh, there's so much traffic here and everybody hates me. And finally, I turn the selfie camera on video and awkwardly move my limbs. Oh God. Taking videos instead of photos is super helpful because I find that no matter how terrible I am at actually posing, there are always a few screenshots I can get in between movements that look like I kind of know what I'm doing. And that is social media, you guys, and life in general. You guys have also asked how I commute to work, what's the best way to commute in Beijing, and also how to prioritize between a short commute and rent. The audio quality becomes really shit here, so I'm gonna just voice over this part. I personally bike to work. It takes about 15 minutes to commute each way, and not just to work, biking is my favorite means of commute to anywhere because it's easy, it costs virtually nothing, and it's a good form of exercise. However, if you need to commute a longer distance, I would say the objectively best way to commute in Beijing, it's scooting. There's scooter shops everywhere in the city. Scooters could cost $1 to a few hundred kuai, so a few $100s depending on what you get, and it's pretty easy to get a license. Recently, the government is tightening laws around scooting, and only certain types of scooters are allowed now, and they officially can't go above 25 kilometers an hour. However, I may have seen scooters go 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. It's not completely legal. I mean, it's actually completely not legal, but there may be ways to make it happen, and you did not hear it from me. On a scooter, you don't have to deal with traffic, so more often than not, it's faster than driving overall. In terms of rent versus commute, I personally prioritize the short commute because I've often heard of how brutal commute can be in Beijing, and I don't want to waste valuable time before and after work in transit. However, plenty of people make different choices. My cousin, for example, she commutes over an hour each way to work, but she does pay about 2,000 kwai less than me for her studio in South Beijing. There are other things to consider too when you choose an apartment, like the condition of the apartment, especially in the kitchen and the bathroom, proximity to the subway station and things you'd like to do after work, etc. I've made a whole video showing you my apartment hunting process with apartment tours and rent prices, so feel free to check that out if you're considering renting in Beijing. I just got home, I've gotten comfy. There were some deliveries outside, 8 pairs of pants, so I'm gonna try them on and chat with you guys. You guys asked if my style is more Chinese in China and more American in America. First of all, thank you for remotely associating the word style with me, because if anything, I am not stylish. Thinking back though, I do notice I dress slightly differently over the past couple years in China for several reasons. First, when I came back to China, I brought only one suitcase with me because it was supposed to be a vacation. I've kind of been forced to live with a capsule closet until my other clothes got shipped back last month. Having very, very limited pieces to style has forced me to be creative, and for inspiration, I've been watching more fashion YouTubers. You guys know I love Best Dressed. I also watch It's Yuan, KTU. The wide-legged pants I'm trying on right now, for example, are inspired by It's Yuan. Also, I think style in general in China is a little bit different. There are a lot of Chinese street fashion TikToks that are going viral right now. A lot of them are made right here in Beijing. Whenever I go to the Sanlitun area, there are always these strange, creepy looking men with long lenses casually taking photos of pedestrians without consent, and that's the making of Chinese fashion TikToks. Anyways, I don't think any of the 8 pairs of pants is working out. I don't think this particular style fits me, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to return all of that. Okay, now we're finally baking some cookies. Oh, I recently got a dessert person cookbook from Claire Saffitz. I got it off of Taobao for like $15 and it seems genuine. You can get pretty much anything you want off of Taobao for sometimes like a ridiculously inexpensive price. I started a cookie company called Small Batch Cookie Co. because I like cookies. I want to one day do what I love for a living, and that's not being a project manager. And there hasn't been a single cookie in Beijing that didn't make me go, I can do better. Which, it's kind of a surprise because Beijing is such a massive city. But honestly, what surprised me the most since I came back to China is the fact that I'm still in China. And the fact that at this point, I'm seriously considering not going back to Chicago anymore. I've been spending a lot of time lately figuring out logistics, marketing, financials, and testing out recipes. Today, I'm making sea salt apple caramel swirl cookies. I've put a link in the descriptions if you're in China and want to place an order. The cookie dough needs to chill in the fridge for a second, so meanwhile, let's talk about jobs because that's totally related to cookies, right? You guys asked how hard is it for foreigners to find jobs in China, what's the job market like, and where to look for jobs. I have a Chinese passport, but after asking around and based on what I see at my own workplace, I think how hard it is would depend on what kind of a job you're going for. Foreign English teachers, for example, are always in demand in China, especially right now because a lot of teachers have left the country because of COVID. Recently, the government did have a crackdown on the private education sector. However, parents are still ever more eager to immerse their children in a native English-speaking environment. Becoming an English teacher is how most of my foreign friends find their footing in China. Many of them eventually venture on to pursue their own passion or even start their own business and sponsor their own visa. Of course, you can also pursue other careers in China. There are plenty of foreigners in my own office building, and that's because more and more Chinese companies are developing global ambitions, so they desperately need people who understand overseas markets and who can communicate across cultures. Global teams are also more and more common in China. Tech companies are always looking for English-speaking product managers, project managers. That's why I have my job. And also there's not a lack of foreign companies like Google, Hulu, Microsoft in China as well. In terms of where to look for jobs, the website I use is called Boss Zhipin. Because I'm lazy, I've only ever had my English resume up there and so far haven't had trouble getting interviews, so you might want to try that as well. Also, you can always look for jobs on LinkedIn or just directly look on companies' websites. If you know of any websites or resources for foreigners looking for jobs in China, please kindly share them in the comments below. Okay, let's quickly put the cookies in the oven. How do you deal with culture shock, and does Beijing feel like home? Cheers to great questions. Culture shock. I guess reverse culture shock would be more appropriate for me because I'm from China, and after coming back for almost 2 years, I still experience it every day. Things like wanting different things out of life than what my parents expect, huge peer pressure of working hard and being successful, which I'm certainly not, lack of personal boundaries when like everybody's eager to tell you what to do and how to live your life. For a while, I felt really lonely in Beijing because I felt like no one around me understand me, no one's thoughts are like in sync with mine. To give an example, at work some time ago, half of the team I work with in China quit, and my first reaction and my American colleagues' first reaction was that, oh my gosh, like, is everybody okay? Everyone who left and everyone who's staying, is there anything we can do to make it better for them? But the gut instinct from the Chinese team leader was like, we're not going to slow down your work with us because of this. I know he said that out of his best intentions, but inside I was screaming like, dude, half of your team just quit. Are you not worried that their well-being might not be okay? But things have changed a lot for me for the better for the past few months because I made friends. My first friend in Beijing is Elise Lightyear. She's also a YouTuber. You should check out her channel about living in Beijing. Elise showed me that there's a vibrant international community in Beijing. So because of her friendship, I started like coming out of my shell, started to go around the hutongs to explore Beijing. And then I realized there are a lot of people doing wildly interesting things in Beijing. International people and Chinese people alike, making music, organizing events and markets. I've even met a group of badass ladies who are YouTubers in Beijing. And then for the first time, I stopped wanting to run away from Beijing. I stopped obsessing over the fact that I didn't choose to come to Beijing. I don't know when it started, but Beijing does feel like home now. So the cookies are ready and we're gonna package them. Wow. Several of you asked if I have a boyfriend. Do you remember in the planning for 2021 video, one of my goals was to figure out how to use Tinder? Well, that is still going nowhere, but my overarching goal this year is to do what makes me happy. And I found someone who makes me very happy. So yes, I have a boyfriend. You guys have met him. His name is Dave, and he currently works as the chief taste tester at Small Batch Cookie Co.
I'm smelling each one, okay? Smells like a cookie. Smells like a cookie. Also smells like a cookie. So the smell test has been carried out. I take my job as chief tester very seriously. They all have a distinctly cookie smell to them. This is cheese, dude.
We are delivering the cookies to the cookie tester. Let's go. Hi. To give you the proper unboxing experience.
Oh wow.
And this is mildly sexual, Dave.
Mildly. You didn't even have a tester one? There's a big improvement on the original snickerdoodle.
Oh no! Ah! You guys asked if I drink baijiu. Well, only in a special cocktail. This is Dave's new off-menu cocktail and nugget called Gossamer Sea. While Dave makes the cocktail, I want to briefly talk about dating in China. I've never been a part of the dating world in China, as in socializing for the purpose of finding a partner. But I did notice some Chinese girls tend to be more interested in non-Chinese looking guys because their looks stand out more. And as an English-speaking Chinese girl, I do tend to get a bit more unwanted attention here from foreigners. There are also many happy couples in China who are from different countries countries and speak different languages and still find love in each other. Maybe that's just me being a hopeless romantic. But with love, it shouldn't matter where you are or where you're from. And if what you want to know is if it's possible to find love in China, then yes, love is everywhere, like gossamer in the air.